During the past weeks, I've been always customizing my own workflow within Reaper, and I found a couple of new stuff that you might find interesting. My name is Juanchis, and let's talk about what I found in Reaper that you might be interested in. The first one is in case you are doing some multi-track recording, and maybe you have a new session and you're recording drums, multiple mics of whatever, and you want to set up all of the inputs of all of these tracks, and you have an 8 channel interface, and you don't want to do them one by one and go to mono and go 1 through 8. And this is kind of something I don't want to do every single time. So there's an action called Cascade selected track inputs, and as you will see, it will change. As you can see, it will first ask which input you want to start in, and I will say 1. And I was going to assign 1 through 6 because I have only 6 channels, and this is a lot faster for setting up your multi-channel interface. The second one has to do with panning, because as you can see, I usually use my default project's panning is stereo pan, and that's because it has true panning to it. That means that if I drag it to the right or to the left, it's actually bringing both channels to that side. I have my right channel completely dry and my left channel completely delayed and filtered out. With my panning mode, you can listen to this. And if I pan it to the left, I go like this. If I go to the right, you hear both hits. But if you are using some other panning mode, like such, you have a separate control from the right channel and the left channel. And you can use this to do some custom panning if you don't want to go with this full left, right, center panning way of thinking. You can take advantage of the suite of all the spaces between this. Some people say it doesn't matter. Some people say it does help. I'm in the side that I think it helps to take advantage of some of the spaces between left, center, and right, because that makes a broader and a wider image in my experience. So let me switch to the default pan mode that comes with Reaper, and I'm going to drag it to the left, and you should listen to 2 hits. And you only listen to 1. And if I drag it to the right, you only listen to 1. And that's because this isn't true panning, because it's only lowering the level of the opposite channel where you're panning. That's why I usually go with stereo pan, and I made a cycle action. And remember that you can do this in the extensions menu, cycle action editor. And I have very few actions made here. One of them is pan modes cycle. For you to set this up, you can screenshot this. And I'm using some SWS extensions right here that you can download from the Reapack. I'll also leave a link in the description if you want to know how to sell cycle actions, because Reaper blog has a video on it. And I think let's talk about Reaper and Kenny Goya, and a lot of people have a video on that. So I have a shortcut set up so I can switch between these 2 pan modes and make some things narrower and some things wider, or place them just where I want them to. Number 3, and the last one for the track stuff, is I have a key assigned to ARM tracks. This helps me record a lot faster. I have it set up to C, and as you can see, it's toggle record ARM for selected tracks. And it's a really fast way, even if I got distracted when I was recording someone and I have the track selected, but I wasn't recording with the track, I can only hit C on my keyboard and that arms the track. I use C because that's an Ableton Live workflow, so use whatever key you find most suitable for it. Let's go to some arrangement management. So I have a video on a lot of workflow on how to zoom into things and go deep and go further away, but I was constantly still struggling with making things the width that I have available, because sometimes I'm using a bigger mixer or a smaller mixer. So sometimes I just want all of this time selection, because maybe I was here and I selected this media item. I hit Command L and it loops the time selects the media item. And now I wanted to take advantage of this space all the way up to here. And now I only hit W and now it takes advantage of it. That's an action called toggle horizontal zoom to selected items or time selection. Remember that all of these actions will be left in the description written, so you can just copy paste them and assign them yourselves. Number five, the track spacers. I have a shortcut set up for it, Shift Control T. I don't have to make too many, so that's why I don't need too many in hand. This actually makes sense once you go into bigger sessions. Let me show you. Okay, so I had to bypass everything here because this is a really crowded session. Even though I already have a lot of track managing going on with mutes and hiding tracks, I'm using track spacers because it's a crowded mix. So for this to be easier on the eyes, you can do this. I learned this from post production for video, audio post production for video. So when you have 500 tracks, 800 tracks in a movie, what people in that industry do is they use one track that doesn't do anything and they fill it with one single MIDI clip, and they just use this as a line to divide one thing from the other in the session. So that's the mindset, and you have like these big chunks of information within the session. And that works great because it's a visual display of where you are within your groups, if you're in effects, in dialogues, in ambience, in music, or whatever else you might have going on in the movie session. I recently saw this in a Reaper blog clip. You can customize the size of them in the appearance, something like that. And you go right here and it says visual track spacer size. I have it at 16 pixels, so that's big enough. If you want to make it wider, go wider or narrower, or just go with the MIDI clip media item mindset that I show you if that works for you. I don't remember where I saw a video about this, but I really like the idea of having different ways to use the mouse. So in the Reaper preferences, under editing behavior and mouse modifiers, now we have a range view override A, B, C, and D. So for example, if I go to override A, I can make the default action, so the left click, a select razor edit area. And in the actions menu, I can set a range view override mouse modifiers to A, and I hit this, and now it goes like this. And I can use another action to clear the range view actions, and now it goes back to normal. You can probably arrange this in a cycle action, just as I did with the panning modes. And you can only use like one modifier, so you can go back and forth, and that might be really fast. If you like it, use it. Number, I don't remember which number I am at. Sometimes I have seen people asking how or why do media items loop. They have this small wedge to them to tell you that they are looping themselves. So remember that when you double click any media item, you get access to all of the options of the media item itself, and you can loop the source on its own, or you can do some project behavior and you can change every media item by itself. So remember that on Reaper preferences under project item loop defaults, I have all of them turned on. So that way I can easily loop anything that I have within my session, just recorded or imported or whatever your needs might be. So for example, if I have this media item at the bottom and I only want to drag it all the way to here and I want it looped, first I will have to glue it and then drag it, and now it's repeating itself, it's looping itself. There's another thing that I've been using a lot, and that's making media items that are false stereo because they visually confuse me, even though my ears know it's mono. And I just have an action set to it where I just use item properties, set take channel mode to mono. And this one is really close on my keyboard, so I can just make things mono whenever I need to. And maybe you have like this false stereo with really low stereo information, so some things are better to actually make them mono. You will take advantage of it. And these last three are more or less of a combo. So let's say, for example, that I'm working on a track that goes like this, and this section is there. So let's suppose for a moment that I'm working on this arrangement, and one of the things is that maybe you're working with people that work with another DAW, and you want to share the markers with them, and maybe their DAW doesn't read properly the information of markers written in the file. So one of the fun things that I found is that if I glue this thing together, you will see that it instantly assigns the name of the marker that is crossing the file itself. And that's useful. Another way to try and make this happen is you might have some sort of media item that's only going to use the MIDI section of it. And you can just write down 3 MIDI notes within this media item and export this one and send it over. MIDI clips carry the tempo information, and this can be set up as the markers so that the other person knows where the markers should be. So you make their life a bit easier, and that's always nice. And sometimes you get files that precisely have this sort of markers, mostly from people using Logic. You will find this. And I found an action asking for it. That's called import item media cues as project markers. And once you hit it, it instantly creates markers that are named just as those marks within the media item. And that's so fast for setting up new sessions. And that's what I found this time. So if you like this kind of video, be sure to comment, like, subscribe, and share, and do all of those things that people on YouTube say. Straight from Mexico City, my name is Juanchis, and thanks for listening.